Xie Chongyuan, the Grand Secretary of the current dynasty, tied me to the Temple of Heaven and personally drew my immortal healer's blood before the eyes of all the people, all for the sake of saving his fiancée, the daughter of the Grand Tutor, who was afflicted with a malignant illness. I was bound to the center of the altar, my blood flowing drop by drop. The thousands of people below fell silent, while he only bent down to inhale the scent of blood in the bowl. As if it were the most precious treasure in the world, he leaned close to my ear, whispering words only the two of us could hear. "Your blood is too hot. It will burn my future path to glory." With my last ounce of strength, I grabbed the corner of his robe, warning weakly, "Xie Chongyuan, the pure young energy in my blood is the only medicinal guide that can suppress the decaying bone poison in your body." To my surprise, he my hand in disgust. His eyes filled with contempt and disdain. "Demagoguery, stop this nauseating pretense, quit acting." He ordered his men to abandon me on the altar and turned to embrace his supreme power and the praise of the entire city. But Xie Chongyuan did not know that I had used my own essence and blood to extend his life for 3 years, and had suppressed disasters for the people of this city for 3 years. The day my heart dies and my blood dries up will be the day the world is reduced to purgatory. Xie Chongyuan took a bowl of my heart's blood. The bright red liquid swirled slowly in the porcelain bowl. My chest felt a tearing pain, but I still gritted my teeth and spoke. "Xie Chongyuan, the decaying bone poison in your body will immediately retaliate." He sneered, holding the blood bowl and walking toward Su Qingru. "Your blood will only worsen the cold syndrome in my body," he said. His eyes full of disgust. "Only Qingrou's warm and nourishing constitution can save me." The woman leaned weakly on a soft couch, but there was a triumphant smile on her pale face. She took the blood bowl and deliberately took a small sip in front of me. "Thank you, immortal healer, for your fulfillment." Su Qingrou's voice was delicate, but her eyes were full of provocation. Anger surged in my heart, yet I could only watch helplessly as she drank my blood sip by sip. At that moment, the senior imperial physician rushed panic-stricken onto the Temple of Heaven. When he saw the scene before him, his face turned as white as paper, and his legs gave way, making him kneel directly on the ground. "Grand Secretary, you must not do this." The senior imperial physician's voice trembled. "The immortal healer's blood is connected to the nation's destiny. It is the foundation that suppresses the shadow plague." A glimmer of hope rose in my heart. Finally, someone knew the truth. The senior imperial physician scrambled desperately toward Xie Chongyuan. "My lord, the poison in your body is exactly the manifestation of the shadow plague invading the human body. The immortal healer's pure young blood is the only antidote." I strained to lift my head, wanting to see Xie Chongyuan's reaction. Would he finally understand? Would he regret it? But all I saw was Xie Chongyuan's increasingly cold eyes. "That's enough." He kicked the senior imperial physician away. "This is a conspiracy set up by you and my political enemies. You want to hinder me from seeking medical treatment for Qingru. I, Xie Chongyuan, only trust myself with my life." His eyes were so cold they sent chills down one's spine. The senior imperial physician was kicked so hard he spat out a mouthful of blood, but he still struggled to explain. "My lord, if the immortal healer dies, the seal will definitely break. By then, the entire capital will be reduced to purgatory." Xie Chongyuan paid no attention, turning around to gently help Su Qingru up. "Qingru, come, finish all of this." He personally held the blood bowl to her lips. Su Qingru glanced at me shyly, then drank the remaining blood in one gulp before my eyes. The thousands of people below shouted in unison, "The Grand Secretary is deeply affectionate and righteous, sacrificing himself to seek medicine for his beloved, truly a model of manhood. It is also the immortal healer's honor to donate blood to the Grand Secretary." Listening to these praises, the last trace of warmth in my heart was completely extinguished. blood continued to flow from my body, and I could feel my life fading away bit by bit. What was even more terrifying was that I felt an ancient seal deep beneath the earth begin to crack, after drinking my blood. The sickly look on Su Qingruo's face disappeared instantly, her skin became fair and translucent, and her eyes regained their luster. I watched helplessly as she stood up from the soft couch and walked toward me with light steps. "Sister, don't blame Chang Yuan," she said. "He is also doing this for the people of the world." Her words were caring, but a sinister smile flashed in her eyes. The wound on my chest was still bleeding, yet she showed off her restored health in front of me. Xie Chang Yuan looked at Su Qingru, who had returned to her original state, his eyes full of obsession. "Qingru, you're finally better," he said. He stroked her cheek gently, completely ignoring my existence. Then he turned to the guards and ordered, "Go draw more of her blood and make it into pure yang pills." "Xie Chang Yuan, what are you going to do?" I asked. "Offer them to His Majesty to suppress evil spirits," he replied coldly. "This is your last value." The guards swarmed forward, their sharp blades stabbing at my wrists again. Blood dripped into the prepared jade bottles. I felt my life force fading rapidly, and my vision began to darken. At that moment, Xie Chang Yuan suddenly announced loudly, "People of the capital, today you have witnessed the victory of justice." He pointed at the weak me, his voice booming. "This woman is a fake immortal who has long used sorcery to confuse me, attempting to control the court." The crowd below erupted in an instant. "What? She's a demoness. No wonder she's so beautiful, she's a monster. The Grand Secretary is wise to see through her tricks." I looked at Xie Chang Yuan in disbelief. He actually turned black into white, calling me a demoness. Kill the demoness. She almost deceived us all. Rotten vegetables and stones rained down on me. Tied to the altar, I couldn't dodge, and could only let those things hit my body. Every impact made my wounds hurt even more. Xie Chang Yuan picked up Su Qingru and prepared to leave the Temple of Heaven. Before leaving, he glanced back at me. That gaze was so cold it sent chills down one's spine. "Xie Chang Yuan," I shouted with all my strength, "you will regret this." He left without looking back. The guards dragged me down from the altar and threw me into a carriage like a corpse. The carriage jolted toward the dungeon, and through the gap, I saw the capital's moat. The water, which had been crystal clear, now began to emit an ominous black mist. The black mist rolled on the water's surface, emitting a putrid stench. I knew the seal was starting to loosen. The dungeon was cold and damp. With mice scurrying in the corners, I was chained to the wall, and my wounds were still bleeding. At that moment, a shrill scream came from outside the city. Chained to the cold, damp stone wall, my blood had coagulated on my body, and every breath tugged at my wounds. Footsteps echoed. Su Qingru walked into the dungeon alone, holding an oil lamp in her hand. Under the dim yellow light, there was no trace of her previous frailty or sickness. "Sister, how do you feel?" she asked. She walked up to me, squatted down, and the light of the lamp illuminated her triumphant smile. "Do you know? My malignant illness is actually a symbiotic curse." Su Qingru stroked her smooth cheek. "Every sip of your blood allows me to absorb a part of your life force." I glared at her, my voice hoarse. "You deceived everyone." "Deceived?" She smiled even more brightly. "I only told Chang Yuan that your pure young blood conflicts with the cold poison in his body and will kill him, and he believed me." A sharp pain surged in my chest, not from the wound, but from despair. "I also told him that only I can help him balance the cold poison in his body. I am his fated person." Su Qingru stood up, looking down at me. "Did you think that because you saved him so many times, he would be grateful? Men, they will always only cherish what they cannot obtain." I closed my eyes, not wanting to look at her nauseating face any longer. "Don't play dead." Su Qingru kicked my leg with her toe. "The best is yet to come." At that moment, hurried footsteps came from outside the dungeon. Xie Changyuan appeared at the dungeon entrance, his face dark. Su Qingrou's expression changed instantly. She cowered in fear against the wall, and the oil lamp slipped from her hand, shattering on the ground. Changyuan, you're here. Her voice trembled. She threatened me just now, saying she would kill me. Seeing Su Qingrou's frightened appearance and my blooded, miserable state, anger ignited in Xie Changyuan's eyes. Luo Qingzi, he strode toward me and grabbed me by the neck. If you dare to hurt Qingrou again, I will have you cut to pieces. His fingers tightened, and I could barely breathe. Behind him, Su Qingrou's eyes flashed with a hint of triumphant pleasure. Changyuan, don't hurt her, she persuaded softly. She's already pitiful enough. Only then did Xie Changyuan let go of me, gently helping Su Qingrou up. Qingrou, are you okay? Did she hurt you? His voice was full of concern. Completely different from the coldness he had shown me. I'm fine. Su Qingrou leaned into his arms, turning back to me and mouthing a silent, victorious message. At that moment, I finally understood what despair was. It was not the pain of the body, nor the loss of blood. It was watching the person you deeply loved being manipulated by another woman. Yet he was willing. Xie Changyuan, I said. He turned his head, his eyes full of disgust. What final words do you have? I looked at him, and the last trace of warmth in my heart was completely extinguished. None. At that moment, hurried footsteps came from outside the dungeon. The senior imperial physician stumbled in, clutching a cracked jade stone tightly in his hand. The jade stone, which should have been as white as snow, the national soul-suppressing jade, was now entangled in black qi, covered with dense cracks. Grand Secretary, the senior imperial physician's voice trembled. The shadow plague has broken out in the East City. Hundreds of people have been infected into mindless zombies. The national soul-suppressing jade can no longer hold it back. Su Qingrou's face turned deathly pale in an instant, and she swayed, collapsing into Xie Changyuan's arms. Her lips trembled as she muttered, "It's her, it's the demoness resentment at work." Watching this scene, a strong sense of irony surged in my heart. She acted so well, even at a time like this. She did not forget to slander me. Xie Changyuan held the woman in his arms tightly, looking at her pale face, his anger burning to the extreme. Luo Qingzi, he turned to me, his eyes blood-red. It's you, this demoness, who is causing trouble. You want to take revenge on me with the lives of everyone in the city. I wanted to laugh, but found I didn't even have the strength to do so. Another shrill scream echoed from outside the cell. The cracks on the national soul-suppressing jade in the senior imperial physician's hand deepened, and the black qi grew thicker. Watching all this, a thought flashed through Xie Changyuan's mind. He suddenly stood up, his voice cold enough to chill one's bones. Pass the order. Build a fire execution platform at Xuanwu Gate. I will burn this extremely yin demon with supreme yang fire to rectify heaven and earth. The last glimmer of hope in my heart was completely extinguished. Just as Xie Changyuan was about to order me dragged away, Su Qingrou suddenly let out a stifled exclamation. She wasn't looking at me, her gaze was fixed on Xie Changyuan's wrist. Following her line of sight, Xie Changyuan looked down, his pupils contracting sharply. On his wrist, a strange black pattern as dark as ink was slowly emerging from under his skin like a living creature. The shape of the pattern was exactly the same as the black qi on the national soul-suppressing jade in the senior imperial physician's hand. Xie Changyuan froze in place, his arm starting to tremble uncontrollably. The triumph on Su Qingrou's face disappeared instantly, replaced by genuine fear. She asked tremblingly, "Changyuan, your wrist?" Xie Changyuan stared at the black pattern on his wrist, completely frozen. The pattern squirmed under his skin, and his arm trembled more violently, beyond his control. Su Qingrou's voice was urgent. "Changyuan, look, this is the manifestation of her curse. Hurry, burn her, and this mark will disappear." Xie Chongyuan quickly hid his wrist, fear and anger completely overwhelming his reason. He turned around and roared at the guards behind him, "Build the fire execution platform at Xuanwu Gate immediately." Yes, the guards hurried away. I was roughly dragged out of the dungeon. The chains scraping against the stone steps with a harsh, ear-piercing sound. At Xuanwu Gate, the fire execution platform was already built. The tall pile of firewood exuded the scent of resin. More and more onlookers gathered, their faces filled with fear and anger. "Burn the demoness! Give us back our peace!" The cries rose and fell, surging like ocean waves. I was tied to the execution platform, the rough ropes digging into my flesh. Xie Chongyuan stood below, his face dark. Su Qingru leaned against him, a triumphant smile on her face. At that moment, a heart-wrenching cry suddenly came from the crowd. "Master, you broke through the layers of people." Stumbling toward the execution platform, tears streamed down her face. "You're killing your own benefactor, every month." Master offers her blood in sacrifice to keep the capital free from disasters for 3 years. As soon as she spoke, the crowd fell silent instantly. Looking at this foolish girl, a warm current surged in my heart. At least someone remembered what I had done. Xie Chongyuan's face turned even uglier. He waved his hand coldly. "Someone, take her." Several guards rushed forward and pressed Yua to the ground. She couldn't move, but she kept shouting desperately. Master never harmed anyone. They framed her together. The crowd began to stir, with people whispering to each other. Seeing this, Su Qingru immediately collapsed weakly into Xie Chongyuan's arms. "Chongyuan, hurry up and deal with this demoness." Xie Chongyuan held her tightly, the murderous intent in his eyes growing stronger. He walked directly to the torch. The firelight reflected on his face, making him look like an evil spirit. "You are a demon. Today is your day of death," he said coldly, raising the torch high. "Xie Chongyuan," I said. He paused, turning to look at me. "You will regret this." He sneered and threw the torch fiercely onto the firewood pile. Flames erupted instantly, and a wave of heat rushed toward me. The air was filled with the smell of burning. At the moment the flames engulfed me, the 1,000-year connection between my blood and this land was also severed. Boom! A deafening roar came from the Dragon Vein Mountain in the distance. As if the mountain ridge had been broken in two, the ground began to tremble, and a visible black flood gushed out from under the capital. The shadow plague had fully erupted. The black pattern on Xie Chongyuan's wrist suddenly burned like a red-hot iron. He screamed and knelt down on one knee. As for Su Qingru beside him, her skin began to crack, revealing the decaying flesh underneath. The flames turned my physical body to ashes, but my soul floated in the air. There was no pain, only relief. The black flood from under the capital gushed out wildly, instantly swallowing the people at Xuanwu Gate. Their screams pierced the sky as they twisted into mindless shadow phantoms one by one. The once prosperous capital was instantly transformed into a ghost town. "Ha ha ha ha!" Su Qingru laughed wildly. The cracks on her body grew more numerous, and black qi poured out of her frantically. Her flesh began to rot, exposing white bones, yet she continued to laugh maniacally. "Xie Chongyuan, you personally broke the cage. You set me free." Her voice was sharp, and her figure twisted and grew larger in the black qi. Bones regrew. Flesh recondensed. She had completely transformed into the true plague demoness. Xie Chongyuan stepped back in terror, drawing his sword to kill her. But the black pattern on his wrist had already spread to his entire arm. The decaying bone poison made him unable to even hold the sword steadily. The long sword clanged to the ground. "Impossible. This can't be," he roared. Su Qingru looked at him contemptuously, her eyes full of mockery. "What do you think the poison in you is? It's my mark. From the first time you touched me, you became my perfect incubator." Xie Chongyuan's pupils contracted as he finally understood. He looked at the black pattern on his arm. It was exactly the same as those on the shadow phantoms. He was infected too. You lied to me. You've been lying to me from the start. Lied to you. Su Qingru laughed loudly. Did I ever say I loved you? Did I ever say I was innocent? You chose to believe it yourself. Her laughter grew sharper. Did you really think Luo Qingxi was a demoness? She offered her blood in sacrifice every month to keep the capital disaster-free for 3 years. And you personally killed the only one who could suppress me. Xie Chongyuan's face turned as white as paper, and he stumbled, on the verge of collapse. My soul watched all this, realizing that it had been a trap targeting me from the very beginning. Su Qingru was the true demoness. She had deliberately approached Xie Chongyuan, deliberately made him misunderstand me, deliberately sown discord between us. She had wanted to use Xie Chongyuan's hand to get rid of me, then completely release the shadow plague, and Xie Chongyuan, this fool, had been her pawn all along. Luo Qingxi, Luo Qingxi. Xie Chongyuan roared my name in despair. Please save me. I was wrong. I really was wrong. But the only response was the roar of the shadow phantoms. With the desperate protection of his personal guards, Xie Chongyuan fled back to the Grand Secretary's mansion. Outside the mansion, it was already hell on earth. Shadow phantoms roared, tearing at living people, and blooded corpses piled up on the streets. He stumbled into the study, frantically rummaging for something. The Pure Yang pills. Where are the Pure Yang pills? They were the pills he had ordered the Imperial Hospital to make, refined from my heart's blood. At that time, he had been complacent, saying he would completely eradicate the poison of me. The demoness found them. Xie Chongyuan grabbed the porcelain bottle, poured out the blood-red pills inside, and swallowed them in one gulp. In an instant, severe burning pain erupted from his chest. Instead of fading, the black patterns on his arms spread wildly, covering his entire chest in an instant. Ah! He screamed and fell to the ground, twitching violently. My heart's blood clashed with the plague poison, causing the toxicity to erupt even more violently. At that moment, hurried footsteps came from outside the door. More than a dozen ragged court ministers rushed into the study, their faces ashen. Traitor, you destroyed everything. Xie Chongyuan, you are a sinner through the ages. They surrounded the collapsed Xie Chongyuan, their eyes filled with anger. The senior imperial physician stumbled forward, holding a blood-stained ancient scroll in his hand. Bang! The scroll was slammed heavily in front of Xie Chongyuan. Look at what this is. The senior imperial physician cried uncontrollably. This is the covenant between the founding emperor and the ancestors of the Luo family. Xie Chongyuan raised his head with difficulty, looking at the ancient scroll. Dense characters written in archaic seal script covered it. The blood of the Luo clan guards the capital, blessing the nation's fortune for 1,000 years. The royal family and all officials must protect the immortal healer for generations. Those who violate this will bring an end to the nation's fortune. Every word was like a knife, stabbing fiercely at his heart. Luo Qingyu, the first immortal healer, is exactly Luo Qingxi's ancestor. The senior imperial physician pointed at the scroll. Their Lin family has guarded this land for generations. Every immortal healer offers blood in sacrifice to suppress the source of the plague underground. Xie Chongyuan's pupils contracted. You didn't kill just one person. You tore up the foundation of the country. The other ministers also roared in anger. 3 years ago, when the Great Plague hit the capital, it was Luo Qingxi who calmed it with her blood sacrifice. Last year's locust plague, she also sacrificed herself to save us. You fool. You were deceived by the demoness and didn't even realize it. Xie Chongyuan's face was deathly pale, and his whole body began to tremble. So my blood was not poison, but antidote. So everything I had done was fulfilling the fate of the Lin family, and he had personally killed the only person who could save this country. No, impossible. He collapsed to the ground. his spirit completely shattered. The black patterns on his arm had spread to his neck, and he could feel his life fading away. Luo Qingxi, I was wrong, I really was wrong. Please come back, please save us. But the only response was the roar of the shadow phantoms in the distance. I watched silently from the air, my heart calm. It was too late. The moment he chose to believe Su Qingru, today's outcome was already destined. Su Qingru arrived at the Grand Secretary's mansion. She was no longer the delicate and pitiful woman I had first met. The power of the plague had made her strong, and it had also completely exposed her true face. Xie Chongyuan collapsed in the ruins, his body stinking. She imprisoned him on the highest floor of the Grand Secretary's mansion. Outside was the capital he had personally destroyed, where shadow phantoms wandered the streets, tearing at every living person. You know what? Su Qingru stroked his rotting cheek. The decaying bone poison in you is a plague seed I planted many years ago. Xie Chongyuan's pupils contracted sharply. From the first time you touched me, it took root and sprouted in your body. Her laughter grew more and more maniacal. Your ambition was the perfect nourishment. The more you craved power, the deeper the plague seed took root. Xie Chongyuan tried to retort, only to find he didn't even have the strength to speak. The black patterns had spread all over his body, and every inch of his skin was rotting away. Su Qingru forced him to stand by the window, to look out at the hell on earth outside. Look, this is your masterpiece. She pointed at the wailing shadow phantoms below. Every single death is because of your stupidity. Xie Chongyuan tried to close his eyes, but she used the plague's power to pry them open forcefully. Don't you dare close your eyes. You have to watch. You have to remember. His body rotted away day by day. But Su Qingru used the plague's power to keep him alive but in agony, unable to live, unable to die. Every time he was on the verge of death, she would inject a wisp of plague energy into him, letting him feel the pain all over again. Luo Qingxi, he screamed my name amid endless suffering. I was wrong, I really was wrong. Please come back and save me. But the only response was Su Qingru's mocking laughter. She won't come back. You killed her with your own hands. Her soul has long since scattered to the winds. My soul floated in the air, watching all this silently. Strangely enough, I should have dissipated completely. Yet I remained in the mortal realm as if some unfinished karmic bond was holding me back, keeping me from leaving. Su Qingru suddenly looked up, her emerald green eyes locking directly onto where I hovered. See that? She taunted the empty air. This is everything you swore to protect. Now, it all belongs to me. She could see me. Luo Qingxi, do you think death will set you free? Her smile twisted more and more grotesquely. Your obsession runs too deep. You'll never transcend this world. You'll have no choice but to watch me destroy everything you hold dear. In the most desolate corner of the capital, there was a forgotten imperial herb garden. This used to be the place where I picked herbs every day, nourished by my blood year after year. It had somehow formed a tiny pure land in this apocalypse, a place where the plague could not penetrate, and shadow phantoms dared not enter. Yue supported the senior imperial physician, leading the remaining dozen survivors to take refuge here. They were sallow and emaciated, their eyes hollow, like a pack of stray dogs waiting for death. Is Master really gone? Yue knelt before the shrine in the center of the garden, her tears long since dried up. The senior imperial physician's trembling hand groped beneath the shrine. Suddenly, his fingers touched something hard. What's this? It was a brocade box I had hidden here in my lifetime. Yue opened it carefully. Inside were no magic elixirs or panaceas, only a letter and a densely marked formation diagram. My handwriting was still as elegant and delicate as ever. The blood of the immortal healer is not omnipotent. We are merely vessels, our duty to buy time for heaven and earth, waiting for the one who will mend the sky with mortal hands. Yue's hands trembled violently. I once thought Xie Chongyuan was that person. His talent, his ambition, they should have made him a savior of the world. But I was wrong. The senior imperial physician took the letter, continuing to read aloud. This formation requires the blood of ultimate remorse as its catalyst, and the sacrifice of a sinner chosen by the plague seed to activate its one-time purification power, to buy the survivors their last chance at survival. Everyone froze in shock. Blood of ultimate remorse, a sinner chosen by the plague seed. The senior imperial physician suddenly realized something. His trembling finger pointing toward the direction of the Grand Secretary's mansion. It's him, it's Xie Chongyuan. Yu's head shot up. Master left this. Does that mean we have to kill him? The senior imperial physician said, his voice hoarse and dry. Use his blood to trigger the final redemption. How ironic. The man who had destroyed everything had somehow become the key to saving it. My soul hovered in the air, watching the complex expressions on their faces. This was my final karmic debt, to bring an end to the mistake I had made in choosing him. Yu clutched the formation diagram to her chest and stood up resolutely. I'll go. No. The senior imperial physician stepped in front of her. Su Qingru is there. Going will be a death sentence. Then what? Wait here to die. Anger flared in Yu
by the plague seed. Xie Chongyuan froze. Even in the midst of such agony, he instantly understood the meaning of the formation. So that's it. A bloody smile tugged at his lips. I could have been a hero. This was his final moment of clarity. I'm willing, he said, his voice weak but unshakably firm. This is the only thing I can do for her, for the world. Sensing the threat, Su Qingru tried to charge at them madly, but the survivors threw themselves at her, holding her back with their lives. You're all asking for death. She waved her hand, and a wave of plague energy surged outward. One by one, the survivors fell to the ground. But they clung tightly to Su Qingru's legs, refusing to let her get anywhere near the formation. Yu quickly sliced through the ropes binding Xie Chongyuan and helped him to his feet. Hurry, get to the center of the formation. Xie Chongyuan stumbled toward the formation's core, leaving a trail of blooded footprints with every step. He knelt at the heart of the formation, summoning his last ounce of strength to slash open his chest. As his blood dripped onto the ground, the formation erupted in a brilliant golden light. He lifted his head, his empty eye sockets gazing up at the sky, and whispered softly, Qingzi, I was wrong. Boom, a beam of golden light shot straight into the sky, its purifying power spreading outward in all directions. Centered on the herb garden, Su Qingru was bathed in the purifying light, letting out a shrill scream of agony. No, this can't be. Her power faded rapidly, her body starting to turn transparent. My soul floated in the air, watching all this silently, my heart a jumble of emotions. The man who had destroyed everything had ultimately redeemed the world with his own death. The purifying light spread out from the herb garden in all directions, and the plague's black chi dissipated in the golden glow. The rotting corpses on the streets crumbled back into dust, and the stench of decay was swept away by the fresh breeze. I looked down at the survivors, the light of hope rekindling in their eyes. Yu knelt at the center of the formation, her shoulders shaking uncontrollably, her tears dripping into the pool of blood. Master, we did it, she choked out. Did you see? We did it. My soul drifted gently down to her side. Yu, she looked up abruptly, her eyes filling with astonished joy. Master, you're still here. I nodded, my voice soft and gentle. There's one last thing I need to tell you. Yu wiped away her tears, looking at me earnestly. What is it? Master, beneath the cliff on North Mountain, there is a hidden cave, I said, pointing toward the distance. Inside lies the last inheritance of the immortal healers, the heart of 100 herbs. The heart of 100 herbs. It is a divine treasure imbued with the power of life, capable of curing any plague or illness. I gazed at her young face, my tone growing solemn. But remember this, from this day forward, there will be no more immortal healers in the world. Yu blinked in confusion. What do you mean, Master? Only healers, ordinary people with mortal hands, who heal the sick and save the dying out of their own will. My voice grew serious. True strength does not come from divine miracles, it comes from the unyielding will of mortal beings to rise above adversity. A flicker of confusion crossed Yua's face. But without divine power, how can we fight against diseases that are impossible to cure? I smiled. Look around you today. Did divine power save everyone? She shook her head. It was your courage, it was Xie Chongyuan's remorse, it was the unyielding will of all of you. My soul began to turn transparent, fading into the light. Miracles are only the beginning. True redemption comes from the hearts of men. Yua nodded slowly, as if beginning to understand, her hands clenching into fists. I understand, Master. I will lead everyone to rebuild our home, and we will create miracles with our own 2 hands. Good girl. 1,000 rays of colored light suddenly descended from the sky, bathing the earth in golden radiance. My karmic debt was finally settled. It was time to leave. I glanced back one last time at this land of ruin and desolation. Amidst the rubble, people had already begun clearing the debris, preparing to rebuild. The sound of children's laughter drifted over from the distance, clear, bright, and full of hope. I did not look at Xie Chongyuan's body again. His remorse, his sacrifice, they were nothing more than the final closing of a chapter to me. He had made his mistake, and he had paid the price for it. The debt was paid in full. All enmity and grievances were now at an end. Master, Yua suddenly cried out, we will remember your name forever. I turned back, giving her one last smile, then I turned around and stepped into the glow. My soul dissipating completely into heaven and earth. I had saved the world, and now I had finally let go of it. The wind blew through the ruins, carrying away the last wisp of medicinal fragrance. From then on, there was no longer immortal healer Su Qingxi in the world.